Good afternoon on what is another warm, grey and cloudy day. It's Friday the 27th of June. I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And I have my bag of things and goodies that I brought back from Free RPG Day, which in 2025 took place on Saturday, June the 21st. Yes, the summer solstice. So let's take a look at what I've got in here. And the next thing I'm going to pull out. So let's see what I can find. There's something interesting in here, I am sure. In fact, lots of interesting things in here, but I'm looking for one particular thing. Where is it? Here we go. This is the Magistrate's Gambit for Dragonbane. It's published by Free League Publishing. So, Archmage Calisiel has a bet with Magistrate Staloma. In their youth, the two of them came upon a magic necklace. To decide who gets to wear it, they meet once a year for a game of Smickleboard. Now, Staloma wants to win just once before he departs this life. Suspecting that Calisiel is using 3 magic artifacts to cheat: a wig, a pair of gilded spectacles, and an onyx game board, Staloma has had replicas made of these items. Your mission is to replace the artifacts with the replicas before the game begins. The Magistrate's Gambit is a tournament adventure for the Dragonbane role-playing game and offers difficult challenges for even the most cunning and skilled adventurers. Players will need to work together to solve puzzles, win battles, and find valuable treasures, all in just 2 hours. Dragonbane is a game full of magic, mystery, and adventure designed for fast play, but with very little prep time and adventures that are a breeze to run. This new quick start includes condensed rules, a complete adventure, and 7 pre-generated characters. All you need to play is a few dice and your imagination. And there has got an advert for the Dragonbane core box set on the back. Now, I have to say, we've been playing Dragonbane, and it's a terrifically fun game. It says, basically, it's a game of mirth and mayhem, and just some of the things in the game that happen are really funny and silly, but also quite not a little grim as well. But it plays very fast and easy as well. It's a simple roll d20 under system. You can push it to roll again. And characters feel they can be heroic, but they're not sort of like tough necessarily. They live in a dangerous world. So here we've got the credits page for this quick start. And this is the third of the quick starts that I think that Free League has published for Dragonbane. It's essentially and the first one was the Ridderbound, which is the first kind of location adventure in the core box set, and the most recent one was the Sinking Tower, also a tournament adventure. So we've got the introduction here, and this explains how the rules work, and you get to see some of the fantastic artwork that proliferates all the way through the box set and core rules. And this defines your character, skills, attributes, gear, and profession, how to roll the dice, what happens when you roll a demon, which is bad, what happens when you roll a dragon, which is good. You've got boons and banes in there. That essentially means you're rolling with advantage and disadvantage. How combat is handled. Yeah, that was okay. Actions and movement, and melee combat. Again, more of that fantastic artwork by Johan Egerkrans, who also illustrated all of Free League's Vaesen. And then we've got to look at ranged combat, damage, and the conditions that you can suffer. healing and resting, and also other hazards which you can face, including there's a fear table. Also discusses how magic is handled in the game, fairly simply, and then you've got a list of spells: fireball, magic tricks, gust of wind, and pillar, and that's all the complete, essentially quick start rules you're going to need. Then we're onto the Magistrate's Gambit here. So here we've actually got the guidelines for convention play, followed by description of the situation and the adventure opening, how it plays out, and we turn over and we have full details of the major NPC, Caliciel. So she's the Archmage, and you don't just get the full stats for her. You've also got a vigilance table which tracks how aware she is of things going on around her, because obviously the player characters are sneaking into somewhere and substituting these items. We've got a puzzle for the player characters to solve. There's a complete map of her palace, which is a really nice looking map. And another puzzle. And there's the map for the Game Master. And just simple stats there. No vigilance table that required for Magistrate Stallimer. Descriptions of all the locations, and as you can see, when they reach the library, there's the first of the quizzes, or puzzles I should say. Some things you can take, and you've got they do show you the solution there. I'm covering that up. But downstairs in the cellar that you can encounter a demon who appears to be wearing a pair of spectacles. And you've got a guide on there how to portray the demons. That's for the benefit of the Game Master. Other monsters to encounter, some guards with the kind of classic situation, sort of essentially there's a couple of cups of one's got wine, one's poisoned, one's not, and these creatures will offer these harpies will offer an answer each, but tells you that the other always lies. It's that kind of test. We have a two-headed troll elsewhere. They're very argumentative, and another puzzle. That one's in the bedchamber. And another solution there under my fingers. Another NPC to meet. And clue to be found. So at the end we have the conclusion and how to score the adventure, plus a treasure table to roll on as the player characters move round the magistrate, around the palace. They have they've been told, okay, you can take whatever you want. It's payment. There we go. A couple of treasure tables, and the first of the pre-generated characters. So we've got there's the mage, who's an elementalist. And we have a halfling thief. And a wolfkin fighter. And these are perforated so you can pull these out. Followed by a dwarf merchant. And a human mariner. she is just... There we go, and there's an elf hunter. She is. And last but not least, we have a mallard knight. There we go, there's your duck knight for you. So that's a complete adventure, and really what's happening here is it's played in about 2 hours, and the player characters have about an hour to get into the palace with ease, then sneak away and have about an hour to investigate, replace these items, the wig, the spectacles and the board, and then the party begins and things get a bit busier. That's the second hour, and then the game happens at the end of the session. And what you've got is here the conclusion of the mission, and the player characters are going to be awarded sort of like points based upon their actions, and that'll give a target for the game master to roll against to see whether or not Stalomar wins the game. And then that score also will basically be compared to everyone else who has played the scenario if you have run it as a tournament adventure. Magistrate's Gambit, then, this is what you call a sort of an anti-heist adventure. You're trying to get in to replicate things, or basically replace things, rather than necessarily steal them. There are other things you can steal as well. So it's still got all the tension of a heist, without necessarily the sort of like the emphasis upon theft. That's a byproduct of what you're doing, which gives it sort of interesting tension. You have also, based upon the roles of the players, the rising vigilance of Calisio, which will probably make things a little bit more difficult for the player characters as they progress through the adventure and discover more. Now, obviously, you can run this in one of three ways. You can run it as a convention scenario, one of four ways. Convention scenario, you can run it as a tournament adventure with multiple tables playing the same adventure. You can also run it just basically as a one-shot, and or if you're in a gaming group to see whether or not they like the game. This is not a typical Dragonbane adventure. Dragonbane adventures tend to take place away from urban settings and in dungeons and the like, abandoned castles or mines and so on. That doesn't mean that it can't do urban adventures. It's just that the focus hasn't been there in the games to date. That said, this is still a great fun adventure. It's really testing. There's a lot to explore, and the other option, of course, is that you can just run it as written for your normal group, slot it into your campaign. Whether you want to run it as a 2-hour scenario is up to you. It's more you can run it against the clock, or you can allow it sort of like allow it a bit more slack time, as it were, so they're not sort of like up against it. That's entirely up to you when you're running this. But the Dragonbane Quick Start, the Magistrate's Gambit, this is really good adventure, really testing, really nice and atmospheric, lots of things for the player characters to discover and find out, and secrets to wiggle out, and also be challenged as players by the puzzles. I know some of the puzzles are kind of a bit obvious, especially if you do a lot of puzzles, but otherwise they need to move quite quickly in order to solve some of these situations and move on. 2 hours is not a lot of time to play through this, and the player characters the characters and the players really need to be fairly direct in their actions. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll typically see me out here with, if I can get hold of it, a box containing a role-playing game, supplement or scenario, or in this case a quick start for a role-playing game which I brought back from Free RPG Day 2025, which I would then talk about to the best extent of my knowledge and ability for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.